Of course, the following experiments will not be allowed today due to ethical guidelines. Milgram's shocking obedience experiments. If someone ordered you to electrocute another human being, would you do it? Conducted a series of experiments to explore the nature of human obedience. In the experiment, person E and L are actors. Person T is a subject. Person T is ordered to deliver increasingly strong electrical shock to person L. Person T fully believed that person L was being shocked to death as he continuously increases the voltage. The results were astonishing. 65% of participants were willing to deliver the maximum level of shock. The experiment reveals the length at which participants were willing to go in order to obey. % of participants were glad to be part of the experiment, and 1% regretted their involvement. Harlow's pit of despair. In 1960, Harrow Harlow performed a series of experiments in order to explore the powerful effects that love and attachment have on normal development. In the experiments, infant monkeys were separated from the mothers and raised by a wired mothers and one clothed one. One wired mother provided food, but no softness or comfort, while the other one provided only comfort. Harlow found that the infant would go to the wire mother for food, but preferred the cloth one for comfort. Others of Harlow's experiments involved isolating the infant for an extended amount of time. Harlow's disturbing experiments resulted in monkeys with severe social and emotional disturbances. They lacked social skills and were unable to play with others. Zimbardo's simulated prison experiment. Philip Zimbardo was interested in how situational variables contribute to social behavior. One interesting fact is that Zimbardo went to high school with Stanley Milgram. He set up a mock prison at the basement of psychology department at Stanford University. Participants were either assigned to either prisoners or guards. Prisoners were placed in uniforms and guards were told to maintain order of the prison without resorting to force or violence. The experiment aimed to create a realistic situation. When the prisoners began to ignore orders, the guards reacted in very strange ways. The guards started using humiliation and solitary confinement to control prisoners. After just 6 days, the guards started abusing their authority and cruelly treating the prisoners. The prisoners, on the other hand, started to display signs of anxiety and emotional distress. The situation got so out of control that Zimbardo had to stop the experiment before the original length of 2 weeks. Watson and Rayner's Little Albert experiment. John Watson's intention was to prove that the Freudian view of phobia was flawed. Freudian view states that phobia stem from deep-seated conflicts buried in the unconscious. Watson and his assistant conditioned a baby named Little Albert to fear a white rat. In the experiment, they would let Little Albert play with the bunny for a few seconds, then one of them would sneak up behind the baby and strike a gong with a steel hammer, making the baby cry. This is probably the most controversial experiment of all 5. Eventually, little Albert feared generalized to other white objects, including stuffed toys and even Watson's beard. Little Albert's mother withdrew him from the study about a month after it started. This experiment proved that as classical conditioning is a key in acquiring phobias, it is also a key in overcoming them. Seligman's look onto learning helplessness. In the late 1960s, Martin Seligman and Stephen F. Meyer conducted some experiments on dogs. The dogs were expected to be shocked after they heard a tone. Initially, the dog will jump to the other side of the shuttle box to escape the shock. Then the dogs were strapped to a harness, unable to avoid the shock. After being conditioned to expect a shock they could not escape, the dogs were then unstrapped. Surprisingly, the dogs would not do any effort to escape, even though they were able to. The researchers called this behavior learned helplessness. Even though all of these experiments were highly controversial, psychologists were able to learn very important things about humans and animal behaviors from their results.